Hello, how's everyone doing? It's Delusion Dispeller. I'm going to be playing the next part of the McKamey Manor interview. Um, I want to wait till some of my moderators get here, of course. And it should be a good night. We had a really great conversation last night. Originally, I was going to make it a little bit of a lighter topic, but I don't know. I thought about it, and I think yesterday was very informative and it shed some light on more than just the fact that this horrid, awful place exists, but the mind of the person that coordinated the whole thing and built it and started it and why he runs it, etc. And the damage that was done to his own child. And tonight, we're going to be talking with, well, not talking with, we're going to be doing a commentary on the video interview by the same people. I know some people did not like that interviewer. I apologize, but I didn't create him. you know, I didn't create him to talk about that, and I didn't choose him as the interviewer. It's his show, and he did what he did on his show. I'm just commentating on it. But we're going to be listening to Russ McKamey's ex-girlfriend and what it was like to live with him, with his OCD, some of the things she went through from being with him. And then we're going to go from there and have a discussion in between and after. And we'll just see where it goes. But like I said, it was a good time last night. I thought it was good discussion and I wanted to have another one. So I'm hoping my moderators get here shortly so that we can get the show on the road. Okay, hold on. I need to put this on YouTube as well. Okay, got it on YouTube. Good. All right. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can get a hold of my friends to get them in here to mod. I did try to reach them earlier, but nobody answered, so we'll let them know. Okay, Lisa's coming in. And I'll have to, I did explain it to her. Okay, never mind. All right, 6 people. Hello, 6 people. Hope you're having a good day and evening. Letting people know I'm going live. Okay, sorry for the delay. All right. Okay, Eli. Oh, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. All right, I'm just waiting for One Love to get here, and I will start the broadcast. It's been a busy day for me, tutoring, and I accomplished my goal, which is awesome. And I don't know. Tomorrow, I will be doing the Through Thick and Thin Goal Gainers group again, like I do every Friday. We'll be talking about some other things regarding weight loss and reaching our goals and mindsets and all that good stuff. But tonight, we're going to do this McKamey Manor owner's girlfriend thing because she offered even more insight, I think, than Lindsay, his daughter, did yesterday. And it seems like the girlfriend might not have been as traumatized. I don't know if I can say that, or at least she was not traumatized at a young enough age like the daughter was, that it, scarred her for probably the rest of her life. but I'm sure she went through some abuse that was pretty horrific and traumatic. The girlfriend did. So we can't totally discount the idea that she was affected by it as well. My point is, and my stand has always been, that McKamey Manor does not need to be in existence, period. The dude needs to be taken to a facility where they deal with people that have severe OCD and narcissism, and gotten some help. All right, I'm giving you the link. Come on up, girlfriend. I'm glad you were available. I wasn't sure if you would be. Excuse me. I might have to get some tea because my voice is wanting to go away. Eli said he'll be up in just a bit. And somebody had messaged me in private and asked if they could be part of the room. I have yet to unblock them. I need to do that now.
Oh, just a minute. Sorry about that.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Oh.
That was me.
It helps if I unplug my earphones from the computer. I know, honey, but I can't do anything about that. I could go in the other room, but it's kind of awkward. It's easier to sit up at a desk.
Talk about me getting ready in like 10 minutes.
Oh, did you?
Yes. I was
You're
like,
oh, Dee Dee's on. Delusion dispellers on. I gotta hurry. Yeah, I was gonna go on, then I wasn't gonna go on, then I was gonna do a different topic. Then I was like, I found this McKamey Manor thing of his ex-girlfriend, and that was the one I wanted to see yesterday. So I started watching it, and I didn't watch the rest of it. And I'm like, I'm gonna do this one tonight. Okay, right now I need to unblock this person.
Hi, Hillary.
Hey, Hill. So are my mods ready with the posts? That's what I want to know.
I think Hillary is the only one in here.
Okay, well, you're one of them.
Well, I am, yeah.
and my co-host.
You need me to send Maggie? Or did you notify her?
I did not notify her yet. Yeah, grab Maggie too.
Okay.
I'm just trying to unblock this person. Where is the person?
Oh, wait. No, I was just sending to you.
What did you do?
I sent you instead of her.
Oh, silly.
Okay, so I just sent it.
I saw.
I know, I'm just a dingbat. What's new?
You're right. Dory. I see why you call yourself Dory now.
It's really bad.
Call her that. Call herself that. Dory's funny though. I loved Ellen DeGeneres as Dory.
Yeah, I know. That's how I find myself, where I laugh at myself, because I loved her in Finding Nemo.
She was a real riot.
Mm-hmm. Remember the part where she's like, "You on a diet? You on a diet?"
I do. I do remember that.
Hey, Mr. Eli man.
He's chatting with his girl, he said, and then he's gonna come on.
I think there is not one.
All right, hold on. I need to rewind this.
Okay, she's heading over.
All right. Okay, I'll wait till she gets here and then I'll start playing it.
Okay.
Share screen. Home tab. Carol tells her story. So her name is Carol. And Carol is Russ McKamey's former girlfriend. And I think she was with him for quite a while. So it should be an interesting interesting documentary, if you want to call it that, or commentary, whatever, because she experienced a lot of his OCD. And that's why this case fascinates me so much. Hey, Maggie. Maggie, do you want to come up too, or do you like to just stay in the chat and monitor things? Did you get the email I sent out with the things, the post things, Maggie? I don't want to say too much specific, if you know what I mean. Oh, that's all right. Don't worry about it. Better late than never, they say. Okay, cool. All right, perfect. Okay, I think we got everybody here that we need to have here to at least get it started. So I will commence. 1 moment. All right, it's that same guy that's doing the interview. He's got a couple other guys with him. The one guy from last night and then another one. So, all right, and offer a disclaimer. I did not film this. So if there's expletives, profanity, whatever, it's not on me. It's not something I planned that way. So just so y'all know, I am not responsible for anything like that. And I don't approve it at all. So I can't control them though, because they're not like chatting in the stream. All right. Let me begin.
Well, your faces, we've got Cap and Josh, and of course Carol. So welcome, Carol, and thank you very much for coming this evening. And I know you've been a little bit nervous, I think is probably the best way of putting it. And I just want to say thank you from all of us for doing this. And you know, we'll just jump straight in because I know the stream.
Okay, hang on a second. We will be interrupting the streaming of this interview because it is a commentary and we will be giving our opinions and viewpoints in between because that is how YouTube likes us to do this so that we are not directly just copywriting somebody's work and we're giving credit to the people that credit is due to.
Streams tend to run on and I'd rather have as much Carol in this as possible. So, yeah. So why don't we start at the beginning? Let's pretend that you and I have no idea who you are. Tell me who you are and how you fit into the McKamey Manor story.
Well, my name is Carol, and Russ was my boyfriend, and I lived in Arizona, and he wooed me into moving to San Diego, and I lived with him there for 15 years, and we started the boo haunt in the backyard, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah.
But I also knew him back in 1977 when we were seniors. We kind of dated.
That's right. You met in high school, and then there was
a period in college, and we worked together at Disneyland.
Okay.
And things were a lot different. So.
It's quite contrasting imagining Russ McKamey working at Disneyland. Yep. Right. I'll be honest with you. Like Ross McKamey with the background in Disney work, it's quite a surprise if I'm being honest with you. But 15 years is a long time, and I know that you've not been exempt from Ross McKamey's damaging touch throughout that 15 years, and I know we are going to touch on that. But I want to build up a little more. Like when you and Russ, how did the McKamey Manor, the idea of that, when was that born for you and for Russ?
Well, it was a long time before me, because even when he was on his military ship, he would have little haunts and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure at what point he started calling it McKamey Manor. I don't believe that it was a long time before I came there. He had like a very small walk-through haunt through the backyard. Sure. Kind of silly. And when I got there, we just kind of blew it all up, and we're constantly working in it and decorating it and going into yard sales and rummage sales and thrift shops trying to find anything that would fit into this haunted attraction.
Now, Josh, I know you've got quite a good relationship with Carol. I know you've got quite a lot of knowledge on Carol's story. With regards to the sort of beginning of Carol and Russ's relationship, is there anything that you want to bring in and touch on or ask Carol about that period?
Like I guess kind of the stuff that people say about him, like the tendencies that a lot of people say that he had, the sociopathic type stuff as well. Was that showing at all back when you two first met?
No, not in the very beginning. He was excellent at hiding what was going on in it.
Okay. I didn't know anything about sociopathic tendencies, but it does make sense. Definitely. And that's good because we're getting a study in sociopathy and also in OCD, which of course is up my alley because of my psychology background. And also
narcissism, because I think he was diagnosed with narcissism and OCD.
Yep. And of course, Miss Lisa knows a lot about those things as well. We both have studied cults. We both know psychology. So it's a good thing. Good, interesting topic. I will continue.
His noggin. But his ex-wives had warned me about it. And I'm like, oh, whatever, he's fine, you know. And then probably a year into it, it's like he couldn't hold it in anymore. And hell began.
And what was the sort of first stages in, I guess, the main?
He was obsessed with the guy who touched him when he was a kid.
Okay.
He wanted me to go up to Orange County, which is up by Disneyland. It's about an hour and a half away. And he wanted me to go kill this guy for him. And if I didn't do that, then I must not love him. That kind of thing.
And how insistent was that? Was that a one-time event?
No.
You do that? No.
No. And then just a lot of OCD tendencies. But I've never known that OCD directed on somebody else to do things repeatedly.
Oh, yes.
Like going in and out of the front door 50, 60 times before it was okay for him to let me in the house. If I was
these actual occurrences.
Yeah, but Dee.
Hang on, I'm pausing. Yes.
I am surprised that the minute he told her that he wanted her to kill someone, that she wasn't out of there.
Right. I know.
I mean, that's like more than a red flag. It's like, and he was serious. She knew he was serious.
Right.
And to kill the man that obviously molested him as a child.
Right. Exactly.
You see, there's a reason why he grew up the way he did.
Yes, exactly.
And that's probably just the tip of the iceberg.
Which in a way, I mean, as horrid as it is that he has this place, it's almost a good thing because people are now seeing this guy had a problem. It's too bad it took him way into his older adult years for anybody to notice it or do anything. But then again, what are you going to do for a narcissist? They don't admit they have it.
Just like the daughter said.
Yes.
That he never thought anything was ever his fault at all.
The other reason I not love, but yeah, I do. I love talking about this kind of thing, like the OCD and all that stuff, is because it really hits close to home for me. My stepdad could have been Russ McKamey. Seriously. No, he didn't run a haunted house, but he was really into a lot of that type of stuff. A lot of the horror movies and scaring people. He was a big prankster. He would love to pull pranks on people. Flies in fake ice cubes, talking toilets. I mean, he did it all. Some of it was pretty funny, but some of it was kind of weird. And he was very strange, which is very common with OCD. Plus, he had the OCPD.
Well, you know, my mother's stepfather, for fun, one night woke the kids up and held a gun to each one of their head. You know, he went from one head to the next just for fun.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening.
That's very sadistic.
It's very sadistic. And unfortunately, untreated OCD can become very sadistic and very dangerous. So, you mean, there's levels of every disorder, as you know, but OCD is probably one of the worst to try to treat, too. Especially when you're dealing with like a hoarder. My stepdad was a hoarder. You don't touch their stuff or they will go ballistic on you. He had literal piles of paper stacked up, pile here, pile there, like where you had to walk through like a maze to get from down the stairs through the living room to the dining room. It was ridiculous. Till my mom finally said, "Look, John, take your stuff and stick it in the back room. We're not having it in the middle of the living room." But I grew up in a very strange situation where I couldn't have children over to the house. Like his daughter was saying, "Oh no, we couldn't have people in here." We used to have a joke, "You can come and visit us, you can come in, but we're not sure you're going to get out alive," because it was so full of junk. You couldn't move in the house. It was terrible. And thankfully my mom was like a clean freak, so there wasn't nasty junk around, but he did collect it. It's just she stashed it all in the back room.
Well, how do you think the OCD fits in with this? Like, I know that if you're going to torture people like that, or even like fake that you're going to shoot your kids and just traumatize them in the middle of the night, where do you think that's coming from?
Well, like she said yesterday, the OCD makes somebody try to demand perfection of other people. So he wanted her to be brave and perfect and not be a wuss or a wimp about all this horrible, awful stuff she's seen.
Aha.
Yeah,
Because to my mom's stepfather, this was a game too.
right. And my stepdad used to make me sit there through horror movies, and I was terrified. He'd be like, "Oh, don't be a big baby. Come on, just sit down. You'll be fine. And if you want some candy or cookies or whatever, you can just sit here and watch the movie." And I remember sitting on the floor at the bottom of the bed watching Halloween and all those disgusting movies that I hate, horror movies, and being terrified and having nightmares over it. But if I ever complained or said, "This scared me," "Oh, you're just a big baby. You're just a wimp." Yeah, that's how they are. They hold you to this very high perfectionistic standard, especially with the personality disorder. OCD, like I said, was just washing the hands, locking the doors 50 times, not wanting to step on a crack or whatever in the sidewalk, having impending thoughts of doom. But with the personality disorder, it's not only perfectionism, but there's paranoia involved. I remember seeing him go through my garbage can as a kid. I was laying on my bed and he's digging through my trash can. I'm like, "Dad, what are you doing?" "I know you wrote a letter to your cousin about me. You're telling her I'm a terrible father and I'm abusive to you." And I'm like, "Dad, what are you doing? I know that you don't tell me you're not plotting against me." I'm like, "It's my cousin. What are you talking about? I'm going to read it. I'm going to make sure because I know you're plotting against me." I don't remember what ended up happening. I think my mom came in and said, "John, get out of the trash can, get out of her room." I mean, it was bad. My whole childhood was screwy, totally screwy because of that and other things. All right, we'll go back to the video. But yeah, it definitely applies to what I've been through.
For 15 years.
Yes.
And that was his OCD.
Yes. Not mine. I don't have OCD.
Yeah, you don't have OCD, so you're having to do 50, 60 entries just to appease. That's just getting into the house.
What was the result of you not conforming to that? Oh, anger. You don't care. You don't love me. You don't take care of me.
Yep.
And then he would get really mad. He would storm out of the house and be gone for hours in his truck. He would go to the movies and watch movie after movie, like bounce from theater to theater. And then he would come back like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. But it also started out when he would take off like that. If I didn't go look for him, that was even worse because then I didn't care again. So spent a lot of hours driving down to the movie theater.
Yeah, multiple layers of control and
Oh yeah. Well, and then like if I went to functions, like I went to a Greyhound function and I took his movie camera because I wanted to film the doggies.
Yeah.
We were at a reunion kind of thing, not for Operation Greyhound, but we were at a reunion because somebody had lost one of their greyhounds. They had just gotten it, had gotten out, and a whole bunch of us went searching the hills for this dog. So at the 1 year reunion, we all got back together, and he kept calling me at this function saying that if I didn't come home immediately with the camera, he was going to call the police and have me arrested for stealing it. Just stuff like that all the time.
All the time. I mean, that just sounds so like as if your entire life is in a box.
My entire life was walking on eggshells because he could find something wrong with anything that I said or did.
Yep.
And then when he got into texting and videoing all these girls, if I tried to take the phone away from him because I was so sick of it, then he would ask them to call the police too.
Before we touch on the other girls, right? Because I heard you talk about that with Josh about how he'd be online and.
Okay, hold on. We didn't have internet when my stepdad was my stepdad. But my stepdad had lots of posters all over his walls of women scantily clad. And he was into some weird psychedelic. He was a hippie. He was from that era, hippie era. He went to Woodstock. He actually has a picture of himself at Woodstock. Well, he passed on now. But yeah, we had a big tree table. And he put the newspaper article, plastered it to the tree table and put some like shellac over it and whatever. And then he would have this big crystal ball in the middle of the table and you would turn it on. It would light up in the middle. He was into weird art and crazy stuff like that too. But yeah, the whole inappropriate activities and interests and all of that also goes with OCD. He had a fascination with everything that was unclothed, we'll just say. And I saw a lot of evidence of that growing up. There were naked statues in the house. There was all kinds of stuff. Now, my mom was kind of into naked art too, but my stepdad was really into some weird stuff. So he was also a
not artistic naked art.
Huh?
Not artistic naked art.
Well, my mom was into that. But my stepdad was into weird. He was into the Beatles too, which if you kind of do a study on the Beatles, they're kind of woohoo, you know. Some of the stuff that they did, Yellow Submarine.
I know that there's a lot of talk about meaning and some symbols behind their music and so forth, but that's a whole nother video.
Yeah, that might be. We could probably do one. All right.
Talk. I mean, how long did that go on for? Was that, or do you feel like it was always there and at one point he admitted
No. When he got famous, especially when this movie was going to be made, maybe Making Monsters maybe started it, but when his ego just went crazy, and any woman who contacted him was like his instant girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
He could have a dozen of them at a time.
Okay.
And it was just constant Skyping. And now his office backed up to the bedroom, and so I'm sitting in bed and I can hear every single word, and it's so hurtful and destructive to me. And if I would go in there and ask him to stop, he would scream at me. He would stop the camera. He would scream at me. And then if I started to cry, he would chase me with his camera and say, "See how she is? See it? Look at." I wasn't even allowed to cry.
The reaction
Happening to our relationship. He just thought it was a big joke.
Yeah, it's overwhelming, the multiple layers of abuse and control. And again, whether it stems from his mental health or not, it just seems that every time we peel back another layer, there's a form of control and abuse that he's dishing out in every possible angle. Like, if you're lying in your bed listening to your partner talking in that way to someone else on Skype, it must further just back up ourselves. He must have removed your self-worth and your ability to, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying the ability to stand up for yourself, but certainly
you can't stand up for yourself. You're not allowed to say anything.
Right.
It's his way or no way.
I felt like that a lot growing up too, that it was my dad's way or no way, his way or the highway, you know, whatever he wanted, we did. I remember my mom saying, now, you know how your dad gets. Don't irritate him. Don't say, just keep your mouth shut and go in the other room. Don't rile him up. Now, that's not really the right way to handle that. It should have been, honey, I'm sorry that you're being, you know, verbally bashed and whatever by your dad. My mom felt very oppressed by him too, though. So she didn't really know what to do. And a lot of times we would leave him and go stay with my grandmother, but then my mom would go right back to him. And I'd get really mad, like, why did we have to come back here? You know, it's always going to be the same. He never changes. But we didn't know he had OCD or OCPD or bipolar or paranoid schizophrenia. We never knew that till years later when the hoarding started getting really bad. And the abuse of my brother and sister started up after I left home. My half brother and half sister, his children, his biological children.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I'm just thinking that what you're talking about is that your mom probably felt beaten down.
oh yeah. Yeah. I remember one time he got so mad, he hauled off, backhanded my brother and knocked the glass out of his glasses and cut below his eye. And I remember my mom coming in and saying, John, what the H are you doing? You're going to kill somebody. You're going to knock his eye out. I mean, this was a regular occurrence in my home, and you never knew when Dad was going to just erupt. And he would just come flying at you and just beat the tar out of you. I remember getting many beatings, just throwing me on the bed and pounding me and pounding me. It was terrible. He was very, very messed up. Very messed up.
You can't because then you're a monster for saying something, or you're a horrible person. It's just every day. And I can't say that for probably 5 years, I will just say, I think there is not one single day that he did not make me cry.
wow.
Oh yeah, I spent most of my childhood crying.
Me too. I couldn't wait to move out. From the age of 9, I was counting the days down.
Yeah. I spent lots of time in my room just crying, and holidays were the worst. Absolutely the worst. He would always say something mean to me to make me upset, and then I didn't want to do anything with the family. I'd just go up to my room and sob all the time. And then he would say, well, all right, you're missing out on dinner. It's your own fault. Nobody did anything to you. And my mom and my brother and sister would go out to eat, and I'd stay home. They used to do this thing where, I'm sure this will get thrown up later, most likely, but I don't care. I would sit between the broom closet and the refrigerator. That was my punishment for not liking something that Mom was serving for dinner. And they would make fun of me. They'd say, now for the continuing saga of Laura Starves Again. And I would just sit there crying and feeling
Okay, so you weren't allowed to have dinner.
Well, I didn't want dinner because I didn't like what they were eating. And my mom and dad's thing was, if you don't like what we're having, then just go hungry and go to your corner or whatever. And I'd just sit there while they ate, just feeling left out and rejected. So
I was actually sent to bed without dinner.
Oh, sometimes me too. Yeah, that too. Definitely.
That was hard, man. That's hard when you're a kid and you're hungry.
Or they leave it on the table and say, you're hungry? That's what you're going to eat. You're not getting anything till you eat that, and you're eating cold food.
Yeah, I had to sit at the table until I drank all my milk, and milk made me want to puke.
Yep.
So my stepfather always poured the largest glass of milk he could and told me I had to sit at the table until it was all gone, and I'd be sitting there for hours, and then I'd end up drinking warm milk.
I can remember falling asleep at the table with my food in front of me because I wouldn't eat. I'm stubborn. I'm a rebel, and everybody that knows me knows that. And I was just like, no, I'm not eating it. And I would, the whole next day, I'd be sitting there. My mom would come in and say, just go up to bed. It's fine. I'll call into school and tell them you're going to, take the day off or whatever. And she would collect the stuff off the table and put it in the garbage. But yeah, that was a regular occurrence. Me going hungry and me being made fun of all the time.
I can't even imagine punishing my children like that.
Oh, no, me either.
Saw what he did to Lindsay. I actually had, like her, blocked out a lot of stuff because he had me do the disciplining of her. He wouldn't do it. He would tell me what he wanted me to say. Then when I'd say it, he'd be mad at me. Lindsay would be crying, and it was a nightmare. Just a living nightmare every single day. Yep. If I didn't do what he wanted, like work on the hunt, if I wasn't out there at 11, 12 o'clock at night working on the hunt, I wasn't passionate enough. I wasn't this, I wasn't that. And it gets really destructive.
And did you, was the level of control and the level of aggression, did you ever feel like if you didn't comply, you were in serious, legitimate danger? Did you ever feel
every day.
Just end up?
I mean, like Holly said, he threatened he was going to go buy a gun. He was going to kill me. He said that to me several times. And if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, then the suicide threats would come in. And he actually did that one time in front of Lindsay and expected her as a, 7 or 8 year old to comfort him and get him out of the suicide mode. And other times he would run into the garage, and the garage was part of the haunt, and he would get up on a ladder and fake that he was going to hang himself to see if I would get him down.
Ugh.
And if I didn't, then I was in trouble.
Do you feel there's at any point, do you feel that he is trying to be, regardless if obviously it's all negative, but different extremes of negative, where he just wants to be the focal point?
He's always the focal point.
It has to be.
It's all about Russ. Everything is about Russ. Everything. Every single second of the day. And he would have to, I feel that he would go out of his way to ruin anything that was about me or special to me, or, like when my mother was passing away, I had power of attorney. I had to fly to Seattle. And I'm trying to pack, and I'm freaking out because my mom had never been sick a day in her life.
Gosh.
And all of a sudden she's on life support at a hospital that you never get out of. So I'm freaking out. I'm trying to pack. And he's like, well, you've got to pick out my clothes for tomorrow. And I'm like, what? I don't give a shit what you wear tomorrow, But I had to line that all up for him. And when my father passed away 4 months later, 5 months later, he said to me, he wouldn't answer the phone. Again, I'm up in Seattle. He wouldn't answer the phone. And I called and called and called because I was just desperate to talk to him. I mean, 2 parents in 5 months is huge. Yeah. And he said to me, he goes, oh, I needed a little vacation from you. Well, who does that when you're at a funeral? Who does that?
Do you think that Russ, in the same way as you and I and everyone that's watching, do you think he's capable of genuine love for someone?
No, because, well, let me finish the funeral thing because I can't remember what I was going to say.
I need to smoke. I'm just turning off my camera. I'm still here. I'm still here, just so you know.
Oh, he said when I got back, he goes, well, I hate to tell you what I'm thinking. And I'm like, well, what are you thinking? And he goes, well, I'm glad that your parents died because now you're going to get an inheritance and I'll have money to pay off my bills.
Wow. Just straight in with that. Just straight in with where's the check?
Yep. So I spent on his promise, I paid $100,000 to pay off his second mortgage because we were struggling financially because he has no filter on what's being spent. It's just, I had to tell him multiple times, you can't buy that crop. We can't afford it. I put $100,000, paid off the second mortgage. He promised me he would pay me back. Promised me over and over and over. And
where did you see that promise being held up from? Where was Russ's income to pay back $100,000?
Well, supposedly, well, he has like almost or more now. He had $425,000 in his retirement account.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Cough up the 100K, Russ. Cough it up.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because not funny like haha, but interesting, ironic because he's got that $20,000 reward or whatever going for this haunted house if you make it through. So does he really have the money, and would he really part with it is the question, because that's another thing about OCD people. A lot of them are very miserly with their money. Do not touch my money. My dad hid a lot of things. Like he would have safes he would hide his money in. He would hide his money all over the house. Another thing he did was he would write on envelopes, any kind of envelope, like a card, the back of a card. When he died and we searched through all the 7 storage sheds that he had his 8 Cadillacs in, he had literal envelopes, papers, folders, paper bags, literally all scrawled with writing across, like not even a space in between, scrawled with things that some of it made sense, some of it didn't. And it was just like random thoughts because their mind is going a mile a minute and it's all over the place. It's all scattered. And that's how we had to piece together his will when he died. They had to look at all the envelopes, the folders, gather them all up from the garages and his apartment, and just literally take, some of them were ripped up scraps of paper, and they literally had to tape everything together and look on every envelope. One said, give my guitars to Laura, give something else to Matthew, my brother, and to each person in the family, they get this, and the grandkids get this much money. But it was all in pieces. Like one part was on this envelope, the other part was on these 2 envelopes, or this folder and an envelope. I don't even know who put it all together, but they formulated his will out of all this scrawled up stuff.
Hello.
Yeah,
I got my light off. Sorry.
that's okay. Did you want to say something, Eli?
Oh no, I was just saying that's kind of, yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you guys ever find the money?
What was that?
Did you guys ever find that hidden money?
Oh yeah. We found a bunch of money. We found a bunch of everything in those sheds, and it was crazy. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. When I went home, before my mom had basically called me and said, Dad passed away. We're going to fly you out here. We're paying for everything. Just get on the plane at this time. We're doing the funeral, the wake, and everything. We want you here. So they flew me in, and my brother warned me, my mom warned me, when you come, don't be shocked, because Dad, he was a hoarder, and you're going to see some pretty amazing things and shocking things. But realize that your brothers and your sister just spent days and days here cleaning this place out, and it still looks this bad, because you can imagine what it looked like before. And I will never forget walking into that house, and what he would do is he would go on those as seen on TV programs, and he would buy duplicates of one thing. So if it was like, say, a nail file, he had 100 boxes of nail files that were just piled up.
Wow.
And then over here, he'd have women's lingerie piled up, 250 boxes. And he did nothing with it, just piled it, stockpiled it. And if you tried to take it away, no, I'll need that someday. Don't touch my stuff. I'll use that someday. It was bad. It was very bad. So I grew up in a crazy household.
It's not like Russ's money is our money. Russ's money is Russ's money, and my money was Russ's money.
Wow.
Yeah, they own everything.
Wow. I tell you now.
Like I paid for his attorney, his custody attorney. I paid so many bills. It's ridiculous.
I'm telling you now, this whole story, this whole saga, better not end with Russ McKamey sitting in the Bahamas with $400,000, living out his fucking great.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, he got all of the proceeds from the sale of the house, and technically, I'm entitled to half of that.
Right.
He has all of that too, so I'm guessing that's around another $300,000.
Fuck.
So
If that's true, if Russ McKinney's sitting on a sweet $500,000, right?
yep.
He's not going to give a flying fuck what people say about him on the internet. He's going to ride this fame out until he can just disappear like Kaiser Soze. Like,
He also promised me that when I moved here, he would buy me a new septic system. That never happened. And that he would never leave me hanging financially. Well, I'm hanging.
that is. Oh man! If anyone knows any lawyers, right? Who knows anything about this kind of law, right? With long-term relationships and finances and how to get Carol her fucking money, please contact us because surely that's an easy win for anyone who's a lawyer, man. Okay, there's got to be paper trails for 100K. Okay, has to be. So,
Hey, do you care if I ask her a quick question real quick?
please do.
Okay. So if Russ has all this retirement money, why is the 20K allegedly so fake? And why is he living in some bum ass trailer in Tennessee?
Because he's not going to give out any money. His money is his money. That's it.
Yeah,
And
they
if
don't
you
let
looked
go
at
of money.
that money,
Yeah, but that was her money, so not his.
it's fake.
It's wrong.
Yeah, that was a cracker.
So, I mean, that was, let's just say if Russ's lips are moving, it's a lie. But unfortunately, I didn't learn that until I was almost gone, you know.
So I guess as for the trailer, it's probably just because he's a gross fucking bastard anyways, right?
Well, he's a pretty dirty guy.
Stop
He
with the
doesn't shower,
language,
he doesn't
people.
brush his teeth,
Wow.
all kinds of things. So he's gross. He's a dirty boy.
He's a dirty boy.
Yeah.
Damn. Well, let me just.
Dirty boy.
Oh, it's dirty boy.
Well, at least there ain't no swearing there. He's a dirty boy.
And I think my stepdad was dirty as far as the hoarding went, but I'll tell you, he had some weird cleaning practices. Like, okay, you know OCD with the door locks. Everybody knows that one. How about this one? He used to be so meticulous about brushing and flossing his teeth. He would literally brush his teeth so much he had foam up to his elbows when he would brush his teeth, and expected us to do the same thing. I was like, oh, heck no. I don't want foam all over me.
Oh, heck no.
No. You need to stay in there and floss your teeth till they bleed. I'm like, no, that would hurt. And I had little tiny teeth. I was a kid, you know. It's hard to floss little kids' teeth. Oh, it was terrible, the stuff he made me do. And scrubbing we had a floor with those little tiny octagon tiles.
Yep.
Toothbrush on my hands and knees, scrubbing the grout.
Yeah. My stepdad used to make me go out in the yard in the fall, right at the beginning of fall, from the first leaf that would fall. I'd be raking and raking and raking and raking and raking all the way through fall.
Yeah.
And then as soon as winter would come, I'd be out there with a shovel until winter was done. And then after the spring came, then it was time to do all this. I mean, it's like he just wanted me in that yard all the time. I mean,
I know.
even the neighbors thought he was out of his mind because he didn't help.
It was like being Cinderella. No, I can't see Flynn because he's still blocked somewhere. I've been sitting here trying to figure it out, and I can't. So, you will just have to type in whatever he says.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
again.
I haven't figured it out yet, and I want to focus on the room. So, huh?
We just think it's funny. It's kind of like me being Dory. You got the problem with the blocking and unblocking.
I do. 1 year I'll figure it out. It's ridiculous.
Well, maybe you got the Dory thing, like, you know, when you got to remember how you did it.
Yes. Devin,
That's
Poor
what
Mr.
happens to
Mayor.
me. I'm like, well, how did I do that?
yeah, short-term memory. I should write it down when I figure
Yeah.
it out again. Somebody told me that too, and I never did. Forgot to write it.
Hi, one love.
Hi, Eli.
How you doing?
All right, I'll shut up.
Me too. I'm just listening.
Are you frozen? Oh, I thought you froze up again, Dee Dee.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm still.
Okay, you're good. You're moving. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the other thing I was going to tell you is, he would make us do writing assignments for punishment. And I'm talking pages and pages, like 50 pages of like the lined paper. Every line needs to be filled from one end to the other. And you're going to write this however many times till you fill 50 pages. At one time it was 100 pages.
Damn.
And he said, you're going to write till you have bloody stumps. That was his saying.
Oh,
He was brutal. He was absolutely brutal. Sometimes he was goofing around and being joking like that, but you know, we didn't find it joking. We were kids. We wanted to go out and play, and there was no going out and playing. You had
I know.
You had to sneak past Dad to go out to play, and we would grab hands and run to the playground and not look back.
I'm sorry, but it's like I'm just picturing not that I'm laughing at it,
What's up, Mommy Mars?
the way you're explaining it.
Yeah. It was how it was. It was my real childhood. Yippee.
Yeah, I know. Believe you me, I was counting the days to get out of my house. And I was in a foster home by the time I was 16 because, you know, I had my own self removed.
Right. Did you ever run away from home?
Yes.
Yeah, me too, several times. And then he would get in the car and track me down. I'd be in the bushes, and here comes the Cadillac driving down the road, and I run into the other bush, and there comes the Cadillac.
I can see you running from bush to bush.
Climbing
Is
trees
it like
and everything.
Was it like John Candy where he blows the gasket in front of all your friends?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, always. He was.
Sorry, I'm trying to make a lot of
weird.
I don't even know about that scene. Is there a scene with John Candy?
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? What's that movie called? What's it called? It's Uncle Buck. Remember?
Okay, Uncle Buck. All right.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm changing the subject.
Okay, we're sorry.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Uncle Buck blows a gasket. Okay.
You're so funny, Dee.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Where he takes Macaulay Culkin and
Macaulay Culkin, Home Alone too, I think it was, and she gets stuck in the back of that truck with him, and they were singing the songs. They were going back. Weren't they going back to Milwaukee? Or he was going to Milwaukee.
Okay, one of the reasons people can abuse me so well is stuff goes really literally over my head. I have no idea half the time of what people are talking about. My daughter calls me oblivious, and I really am. I have no clue. I always have been somewhat like that, but the older I get, way worse.
I know. I'm a degree of that as well. And you know what? That's how I know that you're kind. And that you're not malicious because you don't think like that.
I don't remember
it. Just flies over your head.
Yeah, I don't remember. If you hurt me and upset me, I mean, unless you really hurt me and upset me, usually I forget what it was even about. That's why people, well, what did you say then, Dee Dee? You got me. I what was the incident? I don't know. I have no idea. My kids are like, Mom, you have to remember this. Nope. Don't remember it. I have no idea. And they think I'm faking. No.
You and I are going to be hilarious when we get up there in age. We are going to be the hilarious women.
Up there.
Hey, Matthew said, when you get up there, you mean?
We're young, Matthew.
He's a wise guy. Okay, here we go.
Well, I mean, look at his videos. He's wearing the same damn shirt every day.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, we've seen a few people on YouTube that like to wear the same shirt every day that we've covered on this channel. It seems to be an interesting side effect of
a trend.
People. Yeah, it's a trend. Thank you. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion about Russ's mental health and about how we want to get him help and we want to push for this. Has there been any history of Russ ever seeking any form of mental help?
Yes. Well, first of all, he was in a mental institution when he was younger.
Really?
Lindsay had said that she had heard it was 6 weeks. I believe it was way longer than that.
Okay.
I think it even went into high school.
Okay.
But I'm not positive. Maybe possibly as a freshman. I'm not sure. But yeah, he would actually ask me to find him help. And it's really hard because you have to go through the military network and it's limited.
Did you say the military network?
Yes, he was in the military. I wanted to tell you that I found that out. He was in the military. I don't know anything more about it. She might talk about it tonight. But yes, he was. You were right.
He'd be a perfect soldier because he doesn't have any empathy.
No empathy. Right. Exactly. Okay.
Very limited on who you can see.
Yeah.
And so let's just say we exhausted everybody. Because he wouldn't go see a man. It had to be a woman. And we would go and...
It had to be a woman, did you just say?
Yes, it had to be a female.
Because a man touched him.
So...
I get that.
That'll stem from his control. That'll stem from his... If you've only got a man or a woman to choose from, which does he think he can control the better of the two?
Well, every single session would end up with him blaming me for everything. And I don't know how many times I got up at a session and said, if you believe the shit he's telling you, then I want nothing to do with this. And I would walk out of sessions.
But surely they'll have had a list of pre-existing mental health diagnosis and all this kind of stuff. Is it just... I can't...
He would go to somebody once, maybe twice, and then never go back.
Yeah.
And they would want him to take medication. And he finally, like probably 6 or 7 years into it, he decided to try something. And I think he tried it for maybe a week, and then that was the end of that. So,
yeah.
No, that's crazy. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I never had any, major prior knowledge of Russ trying to seek any help or anything like that. And I don't know if anybody else did or if that was common knowledge. But for me, to hear that he would only talk to a woman, and
he said he wasn't comfortable talking to a man about his issues.
And did he ever?
And then when Lindsay went to get a little bit of therapy because she was having problems with him, and he was just out in the lobby livid that it was a man. So I don't understand. I think if you want help and you seek help, it shouldn't matter who you're talking to.
Well, you've got to remember, if you've only got two options, whether it's man or woman or black or white, that is a very restricted amount of control that Russ can have on that situation. There's not multiple options. So his anger stems from Russ has decided everyone has to see a woman, and if you step outside of his commands, he's going to kick off. It's a repeating pattern, Carol. It's just, it's constant. It's unreal. And I mean, is there anything else you want to touch on with regards to Russ and your time with him and how you've observed your time without him? And is it a steady decline of mental health, or is it a period of his life where he's okay and then he's down, then he's okay and then he's down, or is it just...
I don't think he's ever okay.
Okay.
I mean, he would control everything from me walking in and out of the door, bringing groceries home, what TV I could watch. I wasn't allowed to watch. I basically watched the cooking channel because I couldn't watch movies. He just controlled every aspect of my life. And I had to cook him dinner every night, and he wouldn't come into the kitchen and get it. I had to serve it to him. And sometimes I'd have to walk in and out of the living room to serve him his dinner 20, 30 times. So it's just...
With his dinner in your hand, in and out 30 times.
Yes. So in 15 years, Russ never did a single chore, never did laundry, never cooked, never ran errands, never cleaned, nothing. But he was able to work on the haunt. That was fine. He could do that.
Well, my stepdad did clean. Here's another weird thing about my stepdad.
I'm not showing my face because I look like your ex.
You're funny.
No, I'm laying down.
That's fine. I know.
No, I might get up and show my face because I don't look laying down right now.
Oh, that's fine. Sleep on with it there, Eli. It's all good.
No, I'm kidding.
What's funny is you sound like my ex too.
Hey, but what do you call it? It's a is he alive or?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's alive. Yeah, he just got out of prison.
Do I sound like I'm now?
He used to do that kind of voice so creepily. Yes, unfortunately.
Hello.
No, he never did.
Hey, yes. Hello, please.
You're hilarious. I'm so sorry. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry. It makes me laugh.
It's okay to laugh.
That is hilarious.
Okay, like I was saying, my stepdad used to make weird foods and make us eat weird food. Like when my mom went in to have my sister when she got pregnant, she gave birth to her. My stepdad was in charge of babysitting us, and I remember him. We would make like peanut butter and jelly on a plate, and then next time he would make us use the same plates and put bologna sandwiches on the same plate with peanut butter. And I was like, that's gross. And he would do that like with a lot of food where he'd make us keep using the same plate over and over again. That's why when people are like, oh my gosh, Dee Dee, how can you, eat like that or whatever? I don't eat like icky stuff because I don't like icky stuff mixed together like that. It's gross. So I'm pretty meticulous actually with my plates and stuff like that. So I don't know, but it was bad. This kind of stuff he made us eat, and like we'd cook peas, and then he'd make us have sandwiches or cereal in the pea bowl, and yeah, it was just nasty. And he was really, I mean, they're talking about how Russ didn't clean and stuff like that. My stepdad was like squeaky clean. He was like, but he also had OCPD, not just OCD. So he was the white glove tester. He would literally put white gloves on or take a dry white cloth. And if there's one speck of dust on anything, do it again. Do it again. I remember he used to chop the dry skin off his feet and leave it laying under the bed and make my mom and me clean it. I mean, just disgusting, piggish habits. And it was awful. It was not a happy childhood a lot of the times, I'll tell you. It's crazy living with a mentally ill person.
But nothing to help me.
Oh,
I ran his businesses. I dealt with all of his brides on his DJ business. I even had to go out to venues and set it up for him.
Yeah, just briefly touch on Russ's other businesses. There was something to do with wedding planning or something like this, I heard.
Oh,
right, he's a DJ. He would do a lot of weddings at a particular venue.
He must have showered before the DJ gigs.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, so that public persona.
But then he didn't want to do those anymore because it was too much work.
Okay.
But I mean, when you're making that kind of money, he was making $125 an hour, but he didn't want to do them anymore because it was too much work. So that comes to the van, the red van. I bought the red van.
Okay. Yeah, touch on the van because again,
I bought the red van for his DJ business because loading everything into his little Ford pickup was a nightmare. And I mean, lifting that equipment was crazy. So I bought that van off of eBay, actually.
Okay.
And I had a lift put in it so that he wouldn't have to lift anything ever again.
That sounds very nice of you. Like very thoughtful. Did you ever return that thought?
No.
No.
Of course not. So then when he stopped doing weddings, which I couldn't understand because I'm not making $125 an hour and I'm working my ass off all the time and at home and at night. And he would wake me up at night to get up and do more stuff because stuff wasn't getting done to his satisfaction. the van became the haunt, and he just freaking destroyed it.
Oh
He
man.
destroyed the inside of that van. It's here with me, sitting out in the yard. It smells like vomit still, 3 years later.
And is it just sitting there doing nothing? I'm sure you would be able
Yep.
to reclaim some of your money, selling that as a weird McKamey Manor relic to some crazy
Yeah.
per fan. I'm
Well,
sure.
I kind of hang on to it in case I ever need to.
Don't meet that person yourself. Josh we'll get Josh to it.
I actually kind of keep the van because it's the best way to transport.
You might need to do it on the computer. We try to unblock them,
You know, we've had a lot of flooding
just
here.
like you did with me.
Then I've got an exit vehicle.
Yeah, you got your bug out vehicle for sure.
Yeah. So
Now,
So can I sneak a question in real quick?
please do.
Like it's kind of in regards. So I don't know if a lot of people have heard this. I think we've talked about this before, like privately. But what was there like a specific something, or what was the reasoning of going from like a kiddie boo haunt to what it turned into? Like, how did that happen?
I actually don't know. He wanted the haunt to seem longer at one point, and he would like kidnap them and drive them around, but we're still not at the beatdown stage. So I'm okay with him driving them around. Then he started putting freezers in them with water in them and all this other stuff. And, you know, for those of you who have gone through the haunt, he never changed the water in that. So you guys all peed in it and vomited in it, and you guys are just stepping into it from the next.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
yeah.
that sounds lovely.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
And then we would follow
Hopefully they shower.
let's hope you never have to bug out in that vehicle.
Well, some of the actors and old participants came over and spent the entire day cleaning it out and getting his crap out of it. But they literally had to hose down the interior of the van.
Oh man.
So,
I would just,
I'll be back.
Thanks.
yeah, do a controlled burn on the inside of that Carol. That's
Yeah,
probably the only way to rid it of its sins.
yeah, it's awful. So,
And now, just because I'm learning as I go, I've heard a lot of things about this van, right, and how it was used in the haunt, and how things went on there. I don't know. Can you shed any light on that? Is that something that you're able to talk about, or is that just more of the mythology, or is it different from person to person?
well, it's different. It's different from person to person, but he used the van to drive them to different locations. There are no other locations, just like there are no other locations now. His little story about Alabama property being sold, that's not true. He doesn't have a venue in Alabama. He didn't have other venues in California. He would drive them around to grocery stores and other warehouses and park behind them and say, okay, we're at the other location. He'd have them get out, and they're standing behind this big building. They're like, oh yeah, well, we're at another venue. We're not.
Yeah.
We're at the grocery store.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, creating the illusion.
and he would drive them around the block and drive them, and it was sometimes they'd end up in a sewer runoff at the end of our street. It's just a gross rainwater runoff. It's nasty. It reeks down there. Looks pretty cool, but no way would I get in it.
Yeah, from a safety point of view. Now, there's a couple of things I'd like to ask. Now, we've touched on this with other people that have been on. I just wanted to confirm it with yourself. So, was there ever any insurance or trained safety people for medical injuries or possible deaths or anything like that?
Well, first of all, there have never been any deaths.
I'm just going by the waiver, Carol.
What are you
I
saying?
know, but he had this rumor out there that somebody died from a heart attack. That is not
No,
true.
I
Oh.
think that if anyone
That
had
was a lie.
died, we would know about it. It would be all over. I think.
So actually, our homeowners insurance covered the backyard haunt for a while.
Okay.
And then they're like, no, we're not going to cover that. What you're doing, we're not okay with that. We're not covering it anymore.
Okay.
So he investigated getting haunters insurance, which they really didn't want to do it at a house either. I think at one point he found somebody who would charge him for it, but it was excruciatingly high. So he started a GoFundMe to pay for the insurance. but he never bought the insurance, and people.
See, people, even Russ McKamey uses GoFundMe. And what is Haunter's insurance?
I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
Wow. I'm learning all kinds of new things.
They have haunters insurance. Well, maybe for traditional haunted houses, not for the kind he's talking
I
about.
guess, but I've never heard of it. That's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Well, some haunted houses are really scary and they have you sign waivers, but they're not as like his.
Yeah. So no heart attack, I guess. That was a rumor he started. Interesting.
Really?
That's what they just said. It was a rumor he started. It never happened.
Oh.
Nobody died. Probably just came within an inch of their life or wanting to die. All the stuff they do to them. Crazy.
People put money into that and totally got screwed by him.
Wow.
Because it was his promise that they would be the head of the line in the haunt. And, I feel really bad that they contributed that money.
That is something
But
that
I'm also grateful that they didn't get to go through, because it would be another torture event. I did not like the torture thing. I did not participate in it. I hated what he was doing. I absolutely hated
So
it.
why did you not report it?
There's some participants that he won't even put their videos out or say that they went or whatever. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, he beat the living shit out of Laura Brotherton.
Yeah, well, we'll get to some of the more extreme cases, but I just want to ask another couple of questions. Was there ever any drugging? The mythology of this drugging that went on, was there ever any realities in that?
No, he didn't drug anybody. It was retractable needles.
Yeah.
He would give them pills, but they were actually Tic Tacs.
Yeah.
It's all the power of suggestion.
Yeah.
So
Wow, she's saying it too.
that they actually think that they are.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's possible, but he does beat people and choke them. And I was just watching videos again today. That's physical brutality, what he does to those people. Whether the pills are
I've seen it.
not.
Hey, that's not fair. One Love turned off her screen and I can't.
What are you talking about?
You turned off your screen.
Well, yeah,
He said he can't, I guess. I don't know.
he did. It's not him sitting there.
It's not. It's a mind thing.
It's
Power of suggestion. Not really. You are.
No, she's eating. I know. I made a fun. Hey, real quick, can I say something? Did you know? It's about something else. Did you know that StreamYard is charging next month $20 a month?
Yep.
For everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't run out of my free time yet, but it's getting there.
Well, can I ask you a question? Like, cause I got to like the third, and I have like maybe 6 hours to go. So that means I would have to pay for it right away to use it.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
I think. No. If you have hours like of free time, you shouldn't have to pay for it still till your time runs out. It'll tell you. You'll get a message at the top. Mine actually says your free time on StreamYard is almost up.
Yeah, mine too. So what does that mean?
That means you got to pay for it after it runs out.
Oh.
I must have a lot of time left.
Yeah,
how much time I have left?
Mine's like, I don't know. I use 15 hours and such minutes. I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, I don't even know how many minutes I've used. I'm always on here, so who knows?
Same here.
I am not sure. I guess we'll find out when I can't go live anymore on here.
I'll go Zoom for a little bit.
Huh?
I'll go Zoom for a little bit.
Yeah.
Listen, I completely understand how powerful the mind is and perception and all of that. So, yeah, it's a big common question. So I just wanted to throw that one in there. Now, the last one I'm going to ask you is the famous Vegas live stream, Carol. This super duper live stream to Vegas. I mean, everyone's been saying it is just poppycock. Would you confirm this for us?
Yeah, there's no Vegas. I mean, he couldn't have possibly have done that. He wasn't licensed to have any of that. It was all completely fake. He put cameras up in the haunt that are battery operated. They look like security cameras, but they're not.
Can I have permission to use whoever just walked through your door's face on the internet? Is that okay?
Yeah.
The gentleman that just
No,
walked.
it's my neighbor's kid or my roommate's kid.
All right. Well, as long as we're okay to put his face on the internet, we're
we're fine.
So, excuse me, I did give my best Braveheart last night. Thank you very much. Whoever just said I never gave my best Braveheart, go watch the end of the stream last night. I gave you the Braveheart. Okay? Sorry to interrupt you there, Carol.
What's the Braveheart?
And I vouch for that.
Well, quenching some tea there before we start getting in. Somebody done a super chat last night and asked me to give my best Braveheart impression at the end of the stream. And I almost forgot about it, but my missus shouted through and told me to do it. And I did it. Okay?
Nobody cares. Let's forward.
What's up, Kim?
Right here.
Away just before I kind of move into the next part of this.
Just to let you know, Lindsay's going to jump on for a minute or two. Just
Good.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you, Kat. See? Awesome. So yeah, Josh, is there anything you want to touch on the sort of? In fact, I tell you what, Carol. Why don't we ask you when you felt like the peak of? There must have been a moment where it all got too much, and you decided mentally this is when you were going to start freeing yourself, or was it?
Well, I wanted to free myself for a long time, but when some certain individual has all of your money, how do you leave?
Okay, so how many years do you? When was there a moment? Was there an act or an event that triggered the "it's time to leave" process? Not the "I'm leaving right now," but the.
Well, there were several triggers. The $1,500 that he spent in 1 month on a dating website that he took out of another account that I wasn't supposed to know about. And
okay,
then
hang on a second. How do you spend $15,000 on a dating? $1,500. How do you spend what?
Yeah, because you have to buy like coins to talk to women. So he's just buying, and talking to these women all the time. And he was doing it at work too, because then I couldn't hear or see what he was doing. So,
how many years?
I think when he started moving stuff here, he came here maybe 8 or 10 times. He brought props here and crates, all of my parents' belongings, his things. I mean, when I moved here, the house was just stuffed full. It was out in the yard. It was rotting out in the yard because I didn't move. And when I moved here, another 5 years after I started moving stuff here.
Feed cap.
Huh?
Sorry?
Can you just ask Lindsay just to mute her? There we go. She's got it. She's muted. She did it. She's there. Welcome, Lindsay. Thank you for coming back and joining us. What I'm going to do, Cap, is if you and Josh just keep this going. I'm just nipping downstairs. I think I hear Nora. So just keep everybody introduced. Nora. It's my 10-week-old little girl who is just, honest to God, our cuteness surpasses all known realms of cuteness. So I'll try and be as quick as I can, but I need to go and just make sure she's okay.
We want to hear.
Honestly, when we're offline, I'll give you a private Nora screen. I swear to God.
Yeah, I would not do that public. No.
Don't get me wrong. There's little snippets here and there of her, but I keep it fairly locked down. But the community, they're awesome. They're many members of the community are like family. I'm on a lot of video calls every day, so there's a lot of intertwined members. But Lindsay, just for the sake of people who've been living under a rock for like the last week, okay, just introduce yourself again and let everybody know who you are. And I will be back in a moment.
Take your time.
Well, I gotta.
I'm Lindsay, and I'm Russ's daughter. LOL. Yeah. That's that.
So I guess
Is this the same girl?
face to
Yeah.
face in a while, right?
Oh, she looks different.
Phone.
Huh?
She looks different.
She doesn't have her glasses
Yeah.
on for one thing, and she's got a
Yeah,
different
I
hairstyle.
I've seen her online, but I haven't spoken to her where I can see her. So, and I'm working on that thing for you, Lindsay, down in the basement. So
Okay, thanks.
I'm looking for. I don't think it's.
That's okay.
But anyway,
I'm like frozen right now. I'm just trying to think of what to ask.
Well, okay.
turn it over.
If you don't have nothing, I'll just wing it.
Oh, Josh, yeah. If you have questions, 'cause I know you've been pretty good with the questions.
Well, Lindsay, I don't know you, so hello. It's very nice to meet you. And thank you for you coming out here. I don't know how in the world you found this. I mean, but that's pretty awesome that you found the stream and everything.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
my mom started noticing interviews happening, and she kept sending them to me just because out of pure curiosity, because when it's just all of this is so crazy. And so my mom was like, no, this person's talking and this person's talking. This is so amazing. Everyone's being, finally telling their truth and all that. So, and then I just like after hearing Holly's story, I just was like, I feel like I deserve to have a platform to talk about this too, because I don't talk about it with anyone. No, I mean, only like the closest people in my life. Nobody knows that I'm a McKamey. That's not something I'm proud of. It's not something I talk about. So I just felt like, you know what, after 8 years, I know I said 10 before, I was rounding up. It's been 8 years because I was 13 when I left and now I'm 21. But after 8 years of like working on this and figuring out all of my bullshit, I feel like I can finally talk about it without breaking down. So that's
And that's amazing.
what I want to do.
All of you, the people that Russ has had in his inner circle, I keep saying this, are all of you are brave for coming forward, especially with the fear instilled in your mindset with your experiences. And it was really you, Lindsay, that brought the severity of the mental health forward. I know Carol was super keen to just back that up.
Sure.
The severity of Russ's mental health, and we're taking steps forwards behind the scenes to bring some people together, and we want to really discuss that a little bit more. And
Okay, hold on a minute. Flynn, do you go by any other name besides Flynn? Because if I blocked you on another name, I won't be able to see you.
Mr. Man.
Mr. Man.
I did not see a super chat, but
I told Angela that. I was like, I'm going to call you Mr. Man now.
He goes by Mr. Man, too. I know he has other ones, too.
I don't see a super chat.
Or she. I don't know if it's a he or a she.
Hey, where's Angela at?
I don't see a super chat. Even on my YouTube, I don't see one.
I seen it.
Huh. Does it disappear after a while?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fine. But
there should be something up in the corner where it kind of like keeps track.
Should have been, but yeah, I didn't see it. I wasn't really paying attention. I was listening to this.
I say it like this. My parents are like very strict. They were old school. You eat what you get, and if not, you go without. But I'm pretty sure they found something else for me to eat. I didn't go without. So, I mean, they were really strict. Then my dad was a pastor. My mom was a single mom. She didn't work, and so they had their own differences, but they were never abusive though, like the men.
Yeah, that's good.
I grew up in a good home, so I mean, I'm who I am because, my parents, of course, but I don't think they were ever abusive. That's what Flynn asked me. I don't think they ever were to me, but I mean, everybody has their own ways. You know what I mean? Like, of course, they were strict by using the belt and everything. If we misbehaved, that was way back then. everybody done it way back then, like in the
Yeah.
90s and stuff like that. But they didn't overdo it. But they were very strict Christian people. Went to church every Sunday, maybe on Saturday, but not really. I mean, yeah. Well, I'm not saying that they're perfect, but at the same time, that's their thing.
Well, thank you for the super chat.
Super chat.
I really was trying to unblock it, Karen. I will master it eventually, but I've tried several times on YouTube. I've tried on my phone. Nothing is showing up your name because I
want a super chat.
What'd you say, Eli?
I want a super chat. Just kidding.
It could happen.
No, yeah, right. I don't ask. I don't know. I don't know how to do that, so I don't even do it. So
just become an e-bagger like me. You'll get lost. I can train you. My husband will help you too, maybe. No.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm just playing with you. I'm playing.
I might write a book on it.
I'm just kidding with you though.
Professional strategies of e-begging.
I want it. I could buy me a cheeseburger and fries.
I know. Okay.
So I figured it was better to eat something better than cake and ice cream.
You know, there's the survivor aspect when we look at Carol and Holly and Lindsay that entwines with this, that I think millions of people are currently going through what you went through, you know, and I want to maybe get you guys on a show where we can offer access to support. We'll get some links together and things like this and really focus on the areas where we can make a bit of difference for people who haven't managed to free themselves from similar situations.
And I feel like psychological and mental abuse is not really talked about as much as sexual and physical abuse is talked about in media and all of that. So, I mean, that's something that my close friend I was just talking to brought up, and she was like, if anything that could come out of this, because I was talking to her about, I feel like it's weird, you know, putting all of our family's dirty laundry out there. But then she was like, but you're not, because if you can help another little girl who is scared and struggling and confused, because nobody talks about this kind of abuse this thoroughly.
I did?
It's really confusing for anyone who hasn't personally experienced, and that's why explaining this situation is so difficult, and why a lot of people are hearing maybe different stories here and there, because we all have our own story. I mean, this man is extremely sick, and we've all experienced our own individual trauma with him. So it's all a unique perspective, but I do think that if we can help any woman or person who's in an abusive relationship or in an abusive situation, like I was talking to Creep Child, and I said, like, when I talk about this stuff, I just think about when I was 6, and I just think about 6-year-old Lindsay and how badly I just
there's a lot of 6-year-old Lindsays out there.
I just wish I had someone to other than like my mom. And a lot of times I wasn't allowed to talk to her when I was at my dad's house, like on the phone or anything. So I just wish I had someone who could have someone.
He would take your phone away, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would hide the phones and take my phone away because he knew I was going to call my mom and cry. And
so maybe if it's all right with Lindsay and Carol, since we've got you both here, we could focus on the period of your lives where you guys were, all three of you were together, you, Russ, and Carol, Lindsay. If there's any sort of events you want to discuss, or if there's anything that, you know, you want to, you know, from that time period that's not been discussed that you want to put out there, feel free to.
When I talked to Lindsay after or before the show, I'm not sure which it was. I dreaded dinner time. You know, I would make dinner, and when I was a child, my dad would always discipline us when we were eating, and it makes you sick. It literally makes you sick. And Russ would always choose that time period to discipline Lindsay.
And did he know that your previous experience with your father, was that just coincidental?
That was just coincidental. So
I mean, I think my dad knew when it was his time when you're what's the word? When you're vulnerable and when you're eating, it's pretty vulnerable.
Yeah. He would get up and run to the bathroom, and then he'd be like, "Go get her." I'm like, "Oh my God."
Well, because I would be throwing up. I mean, when you're in, I mean, this is kind of how I tried it how I explained it to my therapist. When you're in constant panic, so I would constantly be in a fight or flight mode in my head, like shaking, nauseous, getting picked up from school if it was a Monday or if it was my dad's weekend was truly breakdowns in the bathroom.
I am laying down.
Couldn't make it in class without having to leave because I was having a panic attack. Begging my mom to find some reason for her to have me that Monday night. Like, it was just awful. A big thing that would happen, I mean, I couldn't eat really for like 5 years because I was constant. When you're really, really panicked, when your heart is really pounding and you're really stressed, keeping down food is really difficult. I remember there was even one time my dad asked me, or he made Carol ask me, I think, if I thought I was fat, if I thought I had an eating disorder when I was like 7 or 8. And I was like,
that was him. That was him.
Yeah, it was like, no, it has nothing to do with that. I'm in constant terror. And when you're constantly scared, you can't keep food down. So even now I love food. Food is amazing. But when I'm stressed, I can't eat. I can't eat even the slightest stress. I can't eat. I'll throw up. So
I think that'll be like a trigger from everything you went through.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of little triggers, just little specific things. But I mean, even now, if anyone ever tells me or asks me, like, I need to talk to you or we need to have a conversation, holy shit, I could vomit, I could poop my pants out of my chair because every time I'd get in the car and I'd be picked up, Carol would say, Dad wants to talk to you and you get home. Fuck. Yeah. That means the night is over. The night is over
before you even got home.
So, I mean, there are little things in my day-to-day life, even now, 8 years later. I mean, my boyfriend, God bless his heart, has to deal with my anxiety and has to word things differently for me because I'm so easily triggered by everything. I mean, my relationships are impossible to maneuver. Luckily, I'm with...
Like your mother, she doesn't have a relationship.
Wow.
She hasn't been with
I
someone.
will never have a relationship.
So she's basically bipolar, man.
People are always asking my mom, like, why didn't you get back out there? And my mom...
No, bipolar is different.
No.
Like, but she like...
Destroyed. I'm a broken human being. I have nothing.
Bipolar is a chemical imbalance within your brain. What she's got going on is from post-traumatic stress.
Okay, because I know, like she like trips out and everything on her boyfriend.
Yeah, but she gets triggered and traumatized because she was traumatized when she was younger. Anything that feels similar will trigger her in her adulthood. She'll have the very same emotions and feelings from childhood coming up in her adult life. And she goes into fight or flight. I'm wondering if she's hypervigilant too.
Yeah, no,
I would say.
Yeah, see, with bipolar, that's chemicals.
It sounds different. It sounds like it does sound a little bit familiar though. I mean,
well, I know what you're saying. You're saying that she can like just all of a sudden switch because you're triggered.
Yeah.
And it may look like that. But
keep in mind, if you're raised by somebody with OCD, you tend to pick up some of those traits as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. Bipolar is where borderline is not. And that's why they accidentally have been misdiagnosing people with borderline as bipolar. And here they weren't bipolar. And they couldn't, and this is why these people never were able to get help. They never even had the right kind of therapy. They weren't supposed to be on anything to begin with, unless it was something to help relieve anxiety.
Also, borderlines and MP or DID people get misdiagnosed all the time too, because borderlines do have a form of dissociation. A lot of them. So they get diagnosed as MPD or DID and they're borderline. So, yeah.
And the only difference, though, is with the borderline, it's stemming from a chemical imbalance.
You mean a bipolar?
I mean, yeah, the bipolar.
I was going to say borderline's a person.
And you have cycling. You have, I believe it is rapid cycling with borderline. It can be like many times throughout the day. your mood is shifting, and where with the bipolar person, it can be more sustained. It can even go months
Damn.
Yeah. Yes.
before they crash and burn.
Yeah. Months through the manic and then months through the depressive. Yeah. True.
Which one's that?
That's bipolar, or cyclothymic is a milder form of that.
So she's got a lot of, see, she's also another one that needs to, it's going to be impossible for her to have normal relationships like this.
Wow, that's crazy. It's scary though, because if she marries this guy, then she could just flip out one day on him.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well, she is on meds, so
Wow.
there might be more of a chance that she won't flip out if she's on meds, if she stays on her meds. But if she is bipolar by chance and she goes off her meds, on the other hand,
Yeah, imagine waking up with a knife like in your face, like, yeah, that's crazy.
I understand. I had a lady I went and lived with to try to help her figure out how to properly discipline her children without hitting them and beating them and getting mad and yelling at them and threatening them. And I'll never forget when she pulled the butcher knife out, held it to her throat, and said, "I'm going to kill myself right now, right in front of these 3 kids. I'm going to kill myself. Mommy's going to die right here in front of you." I was like, Kathy, put the knife down. I mean it. I'm going to do it. I was young, too. I was only like 17 myself.
Damn.
And I was sent there to try to help this lady. She was very bipolar, still is very bipolar. Her husband ended up leaving her. And I think she lost custody.
What's up, Julie?
Kids.
Oh, she said, "What's up, Julie?"
Julianix.
Ionic. Sorry about that. But that's interesting. That's crazy. Like that person could actually maybe hurt her kid and hurt herself. And I'm glad that you were like mentally aware at a younger age.
Oh yeah.
Actually, like to defuse the bomb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
you have to learn how to do that. You do to survive.
Yeah, because look at I'll just call her D. Her story. She told me that's correct. That's just, I feel sorry that you had to go through that. And you have to have that mentality of trying to help other people for not destroying themselves and talking to them the way they want to be heard.
Right.
So you can defuse the bomb.
A lot of times it's a matter of just observing and not talking to them and just kind of staying out of their way and making sure they don't hurt the kids or themselves. You can't always stop them or talk to them. Her husband tried to talk to her all the time. She didn't listen.
It's like you have to like talk to them in their own language, sort of like.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Welcome to the room, Julie. Just wanted to say welcome before I go on rambling.
And it can even feel like you're walking on eggshells with people that have post-traumatic stress.
Definitely.
Because they they get triggered and you don't know if you're going to word something wrong. And yeah.
It gets pretty exhausting after a while.
It's a vicious cycle because the victims become they don't necessarily, like in my case, until I was aware enough to understand what was happening, to know when it was happening and about to happen, I couldn't understand what the problem was, to be able to even begin to articulate to the other person what's going on with me. You know what I mean? So not everyone is violent that goes through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they might have trouble regulating their emotions due to the trauma and being triggered from the past.
True.
And that's what. Sorry.
Go ahead.
And that's why you need to have that understanding of of what are your limitations of what you can do as well. Because if you overexert yourself, then you can, like you said, you can harm other people, or maybe harm people in public. Like, and that's why you need friendships, and you need family that can learn how to learn how to control your, to learn how to talk to you in a certain way, and to learn how to control your emotions, so there you feel a little bit more better, instead of someone just screaming at you with the top of the lungs and make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard for people that are in relationships with people that have these issues, because they are going to feel like they're walking on eggshells.
But you
And
have
it's hard for the person who's got it, okay? Because you can't figure, you yourself cannot even regulate your own emotions.
Right.
And it's a very, and even when you become self-aware enough to be able to articulate what's going on with you to your loved ones, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be equipped to be able to deal with it.
Well, see, and I with my ex, she was sexually abused when she was a kid, and she would just go off like a bomb, like pull her hair and everything else. And at that time, I wouldn't know to talk. I wouldn't know how to talk to her, and I would have to like bear hug her and everything else to calm down. She would just be throwing around stuff, breaking stuff, trying to hit me. This is before my daughter, and she was just, I mean, till finally, I mean, like you said, walking on eggshells.
Yep.
To be with her, and it's exhausting, but I just didn't know what to do, and it kills the relationship. And all you gotta do is walk away to the future, to just, you can't do it no more.
Right.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's really hard, especially if you're self-aware and you can see what's happening in your life. I know for me, I was self-aware, and over the years, I became even more insightful as to what was happening within me. And it was very difficult because I couldn't figure out how to stop the trigger. And it made relationships and everything hard.
Well, to me, it's more like what I learned. It's more like listening and understanding them than trying to just scream at them. And if it doesn't work, then you have to find a way to talk to them as best as you can.
Well, you can't scream at them because
No.
it's not going to do you any good anyways. They don't understand always why they act the way they do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I would literally say what I needed, because I got to the point where I was so self-aware, even though I knew I obviously could not soothe myself. And I obviously felt the need to be understood, and needed to be able to talk things out. And I would say what I needed, and that, it wasn't their fault that I felt like this. I would say, this is not you. This is not about you. This is about me, and this is about what's happening to me. You're not the problem. And this is what I really need right now in order to be able to feel heard and to be able to calm myself. But you cannot depend on another person to be able to do that for you, because they might not be able to do it. And in my case, no, could not be. So inevitably, it lands on the person that's going through it to hopefully get to the point where they can have the right kind of therapy so that they're able to regulate their own emotions.
Yep.
Because that's why you feel like you're walking on eggshells when you're around people that have been traumatized.
Right. It's true.
Nothing to offer another person, let alone a man.
You think your mom would come online here?
No. No, I don't. I was actually saying yesterday, I did like a Q&A with a couple of the girls on here. And I mentioned that Russell, my brother, Maddie, who they're engaged. I don't know if you know that girl.
No, I didn't. I
Yeah.
knew he was engaged, but I didn't know to who.
To Maddie.
Okay.
Fucking Maddie from high school sweethearts. They're engaged. My mom and his mom were all celebrating Thanksgiving together where he lives. And I was like, you know what? If we all have enough glasses of wine, we may be like, let's get on there and talk about this. I don't know. But
that would be
we'll
that would
see.
be
But
epic.
sober,
I think I'm sending bottles of wine.
Yeah, I think
please do. I love wine.
Where do we ship the wine to?
I don't know if sober Linda would be down, but I could get her a few glasses of wine, and then we'll see.
Well, listen, that can literally be arranged within about 20 minutes.
Okay, forward onto the good stuff. I want to hear about your
I knew
alcoholism.
that if you didn't go and you didn't do what you're supposed to do in class, it was my ass, not yours, mine.
Did you, Lindsay, feel like Carol was used as the messenger for discipline and bad news and things like this? Carol was sort of touching on something like that earlier.
I mean, I didn't know in the moment. I didn't figure that out until a few years ago as an adult. But in the moment, I just thought, she's just an asshole.
Yeah. Well,
in the moment, I was like, you both suck. like truly, I mean, when we would have our moments, like Carol and I would have our moments where if Dad wasn't around, remember how happy we were when Dad was gone for a Saturday because he had a show?
Yep.
It was like just us, and we would watch TLC. We would watch, we would hang out with the dogs and watch rom-coms and make food, and it was amazing. We had no issues. So it was when Dad was away was just the best.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's great. But
when I moved here and I walked in the door, I actually didn't know what to do because I started crying. I didn't have to go in and out of the door 40, 50 times. I'm like, this is awesome. And when I fled, and with the help of Angel, she drove one of my vehicles and I drove the other vehicle. We had 9 Greyhounds. I said, we have to get into Arizona. I don't want him coming after me. And I got to the first motel in Yuma and I started vomiting, and I don't remember driving here. It was just throwing up the entire way. I was in shock. I was in fear. Angel got pulled over for tailgating, and when the police pulled her over, I was just freaking out because I thought, oh God, I'm screwed. I've been, he's caught me. I don't remember the trip here, basically. A few things here and there, but I mean, it was just go as much as we could. It was snowing. It was windy. We were all over the road. I was just scared out of my wits.
I wonder, could you touch on what finally made you leave? Like, was there a certain situation that happened that made you be like, fuck this, I'm out?
Well, I didn't have any way to go because I wasn't going to leave the dogs with him. I wasn't going to let Holly touch the dogs. Those are like my children, and you know that. They're my kids.
I know.
They're everything to me. And here comes Holly. She's going to move in after 3 days. And I'm like, fuck no. And I don't want her in this house because everything is my mom's. And Lindsay, you don't know that, but my mom was going to move into the house in San Diego, and she started shipping her stuff to the house. And we were going to put my dad in a convalescent home in California so that I could help. And then she passed away the day things started arriving in San Diego. So all of the china, everything was my mother's, and I'm not going to let Holly touch that. That's my personal being, my experience. I don't want her involved in it. And I just, Angel flew over from London, and she goes, we're leaving. We are leaving, because he would do things. When Angel came over to do her tour, he told me he didn't want to go to dinner with her and I. you guys go to dinner. The two of you go to dinner. So I do. We go to dinner near her hotel, and I leave my phone in the car, and I come out, and there's like 55 phone calls from him. Where am I? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's OCD.
Where's my dinner? All this kind of stuff. And when I finally call him, he said, I called the police and told them you were suicidal. I'm like, what? You know, so then I had to deal with the police several times. So, and then I got fired from my job because Russ and Holly would not stop calling me, trying to convince me how fabulous this was going to be, the three of us living together. And I'm like,
Were they expecting like a polyamorous relationship or just like a co-living situation where they were in a relationship and you were their caregiver?
Russ was going to sleep on the couch. I was going to be in the bedroom, and Holly was going to be in that little apartment out in the front.
Yeah.
Well, I can hear everything in that room. That's his office. I'm not going to do that bullshit. And he could not get it through his head that it was not okay.
It is so inappropriate to ask you that.
And he wasn't asking me. He was telling me that's what it was going to be. And this wasn't the first girl that he had done that with. He had done it with at least two other women. Well, girl, woman. And then she goes, well, I'll be cooking you dinner every night. I'm like, I can cook for myself. I don't want
You're a great cook.
I don't want you cooking me dinner. She goes, well, I'll make you salmon dinners. And I just look at Russ and I'm like, I fucking hate salmon. I'm not going to have to dictate what I'm going to eat. And
Dee, this is killing you, all these F-bombs.
Yeah, I'm not liking it
he
at
was
all.
getting ready
Well,
to
do you want to know why they probably say all the F-bombs? Look who they lived with.
I was
Yeah, and he's very bad with that.
beside myself because I'm like, now what? I don't have an income. I don't have anything. And he's got all the money. I've got 9 dogs and 2 cars that I've got to somehow get to my house in another state. And so Angel drove the car with 2 dogs in it. I drove the van.
Okay, I'm going to forward a little bit because we're going on and on about dogs and not trying to get to the meat of the thing.
When he was younger, he had these issues, but he had so many redeemable qualities. He was charismatic. He made you feel loved, even if it wasn't necessarily anything he was doing for you. He just made you feel special. And he's a talented musician. He's a singer. He's very creative. I mean, he had these redeemable qualities, but I think over the years, his mental health has declined so much that none of those exist anymore. And all he is this sad man, this tortured soul, and hurt people. So you can't look at him as this evil monster, even though maybe that's what he is. I don't know.
Yes, I can.
But for me, all I can think of is that he's a hurt person. And I feel bad for him, if anything else.
He's different though, because he doesn't have the conscience. He doesn't have the feeling of empathy he doesn't have the ability to bond with others.
Exactly.
So he's harmful where someone else who hasn't been broken to that point still cares about other people and has a way of being able to heal.
Okay, say that again. Hold on, wait. Okay, say it again. I'm sorry about that. I want to. Hold on real quick. Can I say something real quick before you say it? Okay. Could it be, like you said, could it be possible for someone that's really cold-hearted, not have feelings for somebody, care about someone they love, even if it's their own kids?
Even if it's their own kids, they don't have the ability. They didn't have that. They didn't develop
The wiring is
bonding. There was no bonding to their caregiver, probably between the age, I believe it's between the age of birth till they're 5 years of age. That's the most crucial time in a child's life. And if they didn't have that bonding, how can they even they can't have that with anyone. In fact, their whole coping mechanism is about surviving whatever it is they had to survive, and everything becomes an object, and that is where the disassociation comes in.
Well, it's sort of like, it's like, okay, let's like I said, you have kids, right? And I'm gonna take some on private chat real quick. Give me a second before I say this. You got it?
Got what?
Private chat.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay, your mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Was I not?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, Dora.
Cold-hearted, don't care, uses their kids for money, and only to her own good, and it pretends to tries to care, but she's very closed off. But she's always about money. But if you don't give her money, she's a total royal. Yeah.
Okay, so she's emotionally unavailable, and she looks like she tries to care, but you don't really feel any love coming from her.
Yes.
I mean, I can't diagnose people by that. You know what I'm saying? Because, actually diagnosing people is like a real in-depth process.
Mhm.
But
very cool.
if you want to just make this like just in general, as in can these people love their children? No, because they can't bond with them. They don't even know what that feels like.
Even if
and another thing that happens to people that have this happen to them is they can also become antisocial.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. They try to be. They try to be social.
They're imitating.
Yes, imitating.
Yeah, they imitate others around them, which is how they survive in this world.
Yeah, and they don't feel it. They don't feel love and connection. They just mock it. They imitate it.
But why am I different?
Huh?
But why am I different?
Everybody's different. Everybody has a different level of resiliency. You probably were the one that came out and said, I'm never going to be like that.
More like my dad, probably.
Yeah, and I'm more like my dad than I am my mom.
She's such a...
Not my stepdad, not the abusive one, but my father.
She's such a... Sorry.
Don't say no swears.
Yeah, she's
well, we got enough on the dumb video.
No.
She's a Brunhilde. I know.
It's yes. Oh my God.
So you have a lot of pent up emotions about it.
Yeah,
it's hard. I know.
It is really hard
to go through it,
and it's kind of difficult because, hold on.
Oh, well, yeah, and that is common. That in families you have more than one.
Yep.
That can be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they team up on you too.
Oh yes.
Oh, I hate that.
And what happens is each child, you have the golden child, you have the scapegoat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, and they can swap them around depending on who they need to use at the time.
Yep.
And it is the parent that's running the show.
Yep. Right. But they try to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this young lady acts like the typical lost child scapegoat. His daughter.
She really she can't. She's in denial. She can't even deal with the reality of it.
Well, it was horrifying what she went through. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, exactly. That's why our psyche is made the way it is. Right. As in, it's protecting us from being destroyed.
That's why your mind's fragment. Sometimes you end up with the ID.
See, and that's why I'm trying to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Fast.
You're living with her?
for right now,
Oh,
and that's just terrible. For right now,
I'll keep praying for you. You'll get out of there.
it's
Sounds bad.
it's horrible. But there's times where it's okay. There's
Mhm.
times where it's just like,
Well, yeah, that's how it works. I understand.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's hard, and I know that you're probably like the peacemaker.
I am.
Well, we'll keep it in prayer for sure.
Oh, thanks.
I probably should finish this little part here, and then we'll probably do a part 3 next time.
Okay.
Continue it.
Sounds-
It's getting late, and I'm getting tired. And
Yeah.
Me too. And I have to work and do all kinds of stuff tomorrow.
And I was watching a video I did the other day, and my eyes are just like closing. I'm like, you look like you're sleeping on the screen.
Can't have that. Can't have that.
I know I'm getting to that point, though. Okay, here we go.
It's a lot more than I did.
But it's his choice to not seek help. It's his choice to blame it on everybody else. I mean, he doesn't feel good unless you feel like shit. So he is able to get help and get on medication. It's his fault that he doesn't.
But his OCD makes it hard for him to be on medication.
You know what? How can it be OCD when he's making other people do it? I mean, OCD, that's you doing something repetitively, not having somebody else. That's control.
It's OCPD.
Yeah.
That's why.
I think what we'll do as well is all of these mental health points, we really want to get some people with some expert sort of, people that we can talk to that can really give us some proper insight, because that, what you went through with the OCD, Carol, it just sounds horrendous. When you said that when you freed and you came to the door and you realized you didn't have to walk in and out 30 times.
Yeah.
None of that.
I think about it. Probably 2 or 3 times a week, I think about it when I go out that door.
Yeah. It stays with you.
Yep.
It's all shocking, and it's all, like I say, every time we have one of these streams, it just seems to get more deeper, and the story does get sadder. Like, it really is a sad. The Russ McKamey tale is a sad tale. When you remove the Hollywood and you remove the haunt and his perception of his.
Yeah. I was gonna say something else.
I sent a private chat too.
You what?
A private chat.
Oh.
That's why I know how to read about people like this, because I
know
every day.
I understand. I lived it, so I know exactly what you're saying.
And I tell you, most of us that have lived it know it better than a lot of the people that are only book smart in it.
Mm-hmm.
You have you got the inside understanding.
What, honey? Yeah, Matthew's very smart in all this stuff, and he's not book smart in it. He gets it.
I just don't say much about it.
But those that are book smart who have never experienced the stuff they're learning about, that's the part they're missing. I mean, it's people that have actually been through it that really can conceptualize what's in those books.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
It's fake and all this stuff. It is really sad, and it sucks that we couldn't, or in your guys' opinions, that Russ will never get help, serious help.
No, he will not.
Especially when, Lindsay, you're saying there's been little snippets here and there of him realizing this, and then just.
I mean, they were few and far between, but they did happen.
Well, he does have a little insight to what he's doing, because when he has his thoughts about whatever it is, he will come and wake me up, and he would say, "Tell me this is that I'm not this way, that I don't think these thoughts, that it's not real." I mean, he knows it's not real, but he lives in whatever's going on in his brain. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah. And
Well,
that's the thing is it's so hard to explain unless you really know him, which is why like another thing I wanted to touch on is I feel like I was insensitive towards Holly in my last little thing with you guys. And you can't disregard anybody's experience with him. I mean, every experience is your truth. And I don't think it matters how long you were in his life. If you're an abused person, you're an abused person. But I do think that, and she touched on this yesterday, she took back a lot of what she said about my dad.
I'm really glad that you've seen that, actually. Like, I'm really glad.
Yeah, and I mean,
I didn't see that.
she basically apologized and said that she shouldn't have said he was a pedophile because she didn't understand the depth of his mental illness and his mental problems, and she had assumptions about what it could be, but she didn't really understand where they were coming from. And I guess she watched my video and said, now I kind of more so understand where things were. I still think things are weird, but I feel like I couldn't really jump to that conclusion.
But if you knew what those thoughts were that he has, there is nothing else that you could assume.
Right. That's what, and I agree. There's no fault in her assuming that. Of course, that's what you assume. But when you really know him and you really understand where this is coming from and you deal with it day in and day out, you do discover that it's all in his head. Everything, all of his bad thoughts, all in his head.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there. We'll leave it with it's all in his head.
I guess I'm about that too.
Yeah.
I sometimes excuse that person in my life because I do that too, because I want that person to be a better person in my life, and I feel it's never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you can't change another person. They have to change themselves.
Yeah.
And they have to know that there's even something wrong with them first.
And stop.
And if they don't think there isn't anything wrong with them, then there's no hope for that person.
It's not. It's all about repetition with them, and they're gonna be lonely people.
Yeah.
That's what ends up happening at the end of the day. If you don't have the ability to self-reflect and go into your own self and figure out where your problems are, you do end up alone at the end of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. All right, I'm getting sleepy. I'm getting to a point where I can't keep my eyes open. So
I feel the same way. I do. I'm exhausted.
Tutoring was draining today.
I got a long day. I did some grocery shopping, did some wrap some presents for my fiance for the kids and everything. And
that's fun.
On beat.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here again, and we will definitely do the next part soon. Tomorrow is the goal gainers group for the people that want to lose weight.
Can I talk to you guys too in a minute privately?
Yep, definitely. But we'll close this down for now, and then we can just chat behind the scenes here.
Okay.
All right. Flynn, feel free to email me. I'll keep on trying to unblock you. I don't know exactly what is going on with my settings because your name is not showing up as blocked. And I really wish YouTube would fix that somehow. I don't know what's going on. But I'll figure it out. God bless. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. And have a great night.
Bye.